That last live that I was doing, which was about the jury and the makeup of the jury, abruptly ended. But I think we got through all the points on the jury, and I just wanted to do this last video of the night, which is really going to address. I want to help the conspiracy theorists who are confused, who have questions about anything regarding this this situation. All right. Welcome to Street TV. I'm Alex Alonso, and I'm back at you with another Eric Holder trial update. And in this video, I wanted to talk to you about conspiracy theories. We just finished doing a video about the makeup of the jury, about the racial, ethnic, and gender makeup of the jury, and it seemed like there was a lot of questions about conspiracy theories. And I have to assume that some of you guys really have these thoughts, ideas, and feelings about what was going on in this trial, what was going on in court. Um, so I want to address that, and I want to take some questions for anyone that has any confusion. So for the guys and gals that are in this room, and I'm sorry that last live just abruptly ended. I think I had an internet drop. But if you can hear me, give me a thumbs up. It looks like my audio meters are on. Did Eric's phone records come into play? Eric's phone records were certainly gathered and assembled, but because they didn't yield anything, because the information in those records didn't really say anything, the prosecution never used it as an exhibit. There was no reason to. If you want to see his phone records, you'd have to get your hands on the murder book. His phone records are in the murder book of the case, but they never came up in the trial. The phone records were retrieved just to corroborate Bernita Nicholson's story when she did her interrogation back on April. That would have been April 2nd. And I think they wanted to look up some other stuff, but yeah, if you want the phone records, you just have to get the murder book, and you can thumb all through those phone records if you want. Was it true he got into some 60s before going to the Marathon Plaza? We well, Cowboy, according to Cowboy, there was a situation not on that day, either the day before or within the week before that he got into some conflict with someone, but it never came up in trial. Cowboy never brought it up when he was testifying on the stand. He told me personally when we were having conversations in the courtroom. So I don't have any direct information about any conflict that Eric Holder may have had with any people in the neighborhood uh, in those days that led up to March 31st. But this video was solely for the conspiracy theorists, for anyone that has questions, you have doubt. Some of the doubt and the questions that people have can be easily answered, and some of them I probably won't have the answers to. I've been hearing things that Nip and Eric were going to fight because the chains came off and Eric put shirts on something like, I have no idea what Anthony V is talking about. My cousin Cooter said he saw you today. Didn't he have, her name is Brenita, Bryannnitta. Didn't Brenita pull up on some 60s that day? Did he go looking for Nip there before he went to the plaza? It is true that, according to Brenita's testimony, according to her testimony, before they went to Master Burger, they had stopped off somewhere in the hood, and that it was a regular conversation that Eric had with at least two other people, maybe three. I forget how many numbers she said it was. It was shaking hands. It was a conversation, and then he said he had to go, and he jumped back in the car with Bernita, and then they drove to the Marathon store. So, do you think Sam and the family are going to do a biopic on Nip? I mean, it only makes sense that they'll do a film on the legacy of Nipsey Hussle. Obviously, absolutely. But yeah, this live is pretty much committed to the conspiracy theory questions. To all you guys and gals that have questions on this case that just doesn't add up to you, go ahead, throw them in there, and I'll do my best to answer. And I believe most of these questions can be answered. I was on Clubhouse the other day, and that's all we was answering was conspiracy theory questions. In fact, I think I'm gonna go on Clubhouse a little later and answer some questions, because on Clubhouse you get it back and forth. You know, I don't. I'm gonna get StreamYard so I can invite people in this in my streams to have questions and exchanges with me. Do I think it was odd that Big U wasn't invited to the funeral? No, Big U already said that him and Sam weren't seeing eye to eye. So why would Sam invite somebody that he doesn't get along with to the funeral? So no, I don't find that odd at all. I'm sure Big U wanted to go, but out of respect to the family, he didn't go. So why is that odd? That's not odd. Y'all expect like everybody to just get along with everybody, to get along with everybody all the time and never have issues, and that's just not how it is here in Los Angeles. It's just not like that. It's just not like that in probably most cities. Why the hell did Big U say justice for Nip, then started laughing? Buddy energy was off since Nip died. I really don't know what to say to that. I mean, there's a couple times where I'm talking about this case and I might laugh, I might chuckle, and someone in the comments might say, "Why are you laughing?" I mean, it's just a natural human emotion. You know, I mean, like these conspiracy theorists are funny. If you a conspiracy theorist, you funny to me, and I laugh, even though we're dealing with a serious situation here where someone lost his life. But sometimes we laughing at y'all. We laughing at you. That's why we laughing. We chuckling. Did they ever retrieve a gun? Anthony V. No. Detective Cedric Washington testified that they served 2 search warrants, one at Eric Holder's address in Long Beach and another one at cousin Harold's apartment in Long Beach. and results were negative. And they never found the guns. But we're devoting this particular live to the conspiracy theorists. I want to allow them an opportunity to express themselves on what they think is an issue and see if I have any clear and logic answer to their questions. Let's see if I can come up with an answer to their questions. Oh, when the two greeted Eric by his girlfriend's car while walking in, he pointed over to the group. Did they question those two? Those two guys were not identified, and to be accurate on this, only one of those guys greeted Eric. You see how your eyes can play tricks on you? And then you see how you articulated that, and then if somebody reads this and then they share it to the next person and then they share it. So Eric only knew one of those guys. Rewind the tape, watch it again. When the two greeted Eric, no, only one of them greeted Eric. I don't even think Eric knew the other person. There was no communication. It wasn't like, hey, what's up, homeboy number one? Oh, what's going on, homeboy number two? It was just one person that he greeted. And we don't know who those two guys are. I don't know if they were identified. You'd have to read the murder book. The murder book has all the information on the entire investigation. The trial is probably maybe, in my experience of reading murder books and then seeing trials, I would say the trial is probably like 25%, maybe 30% of the murder book, maybe less than 20%. You know, each case is different. The murder book has way more information. The murder book is like overkill of information on the case, where everyone is identified, everyone's phone records are in there, all the social media is in there. And then the prosecutor, now remember, the murder book is assembled by the police. They give that to the DA. Now the DA has to go through that systematically and figure out, how can I prosecute this guy for the crime I want to get him convicted of? They don't throw the whole murder book at the jury. So they pick what they feel is relevant, and then they present their case based on that evidence. So those two guys may have been identified. Blunt Man 1001, but I just want to say, for the trial, those two guys weren't identified. Someone is asking, what is the murder book? What is the murder book? Blunt Man 1001. The murder book is everything that the police assemble in the investigation of a homicide that they eventually turn over to the district attorney's office. And the murder book can be like 3 or 4 3-inch binders of just information, paper, photos, handwritten notes, everything that they've assembled for the trial. And that's all that gets all turned over to the DA. And then, of course, the defense attorney, Aaron Jansen, gets a copy of that murder book as well. And of course, Eric Holder, he gets to flip through that murder book as well too. And all the exhibits, there were over, I think, 101 exhibits. Those exhibits come from the murder book. But we're talking about conspiracy theories. Go ahead and tell me your favorite, your biggest issue, confusion, question that you may have regarding this case, and I'll do my best to answer it. Alex is a conspiracy theorist. Alex is a conspiracy theorist. That's a question. Where are the questions at, y'all? Come on, we got 240 people up in this room. They're waiting for some good conspiracy theory questions. Big U involved. Dread Raz. I already said this before. Detective Cedric Washington of the Los Angeles South Bureau Homicide Squad would have put handcuffs on any person that was involved in this case if there was evidence sufficient enough to arrest them. They've arrested one person. So as far as that concerned, that means nobody else was involved. No one else was involved. No one told Eric Holder to do it. If so, you have to be, the burden is on you to prove that link. What is the link that someone told him to do this? That means you are disregarding the entire conversation that took place right in that parking lot for 4 minutes. If you believe somebody else was involved, then that means that conversation that took place for 4 minutes means nothing to you. That's what this whole trial is about. This whole trial is about that 4-minute conversation. This whole trial is about that 4-minute conversation. This is a live for the conspiracy theorists. Where y'all at? You guys were popping up in all these other lives that I was doing. Where you at? Cointelpro. I want to see a question. Give me some questions. All right, here's a question. Do you think Eric Holder is remorseful about what happened? That's actually an interesting question, but it doesn't address the topic of conspiracy theorists. So I'm gonna skip that question for now, but it is a great question. We'll save that for, I'll do another live tomorrow and I'll address all those questions. But right now we want to stick to the conspiracy theorists, to what some people call weirdos. Possible he left straps in a car at the scene. Okay, I don't know. What charge you think he'll get, or does he get off? Okay, we're trying to get some conspiracy theory questions in here. We got 310 people in the room. Let's get some conspiracy theory questions in here. Let's see. Okay, I'm sorry. Sean 0313 says I'm skipping hella questions. All right. I apologize for skipping any questions. I'm trying to go through these. All right, throw your questions back in. I'm not gonna rewind the chat. I'm just trying to, I'll pause the chat from here on out. If I see a question, okay, I don't see, you see, people are just making statements. I don't see questions in here. You know, they say Big U was superheated because he signed to another. Okay, that is not a question. I'm sure you guys know what a question. Here go. Conspiracy Thug. You got to have a good question with a name like Conspiracy Thug. Why isn't Kid Flashy not a part of this trial at all? He literally says in his IG post that he saw what happened to Nipsey that day. I mean, just because he said he saw what happened, there was at least one, two, let's see. We have Ingrid Caston, she saw what happened. We have Dana Wright, she saw what happened. We had Shermai Villanueva, he saw what happened. We have Kerry Latham, he saw what happened in terms of the shooting. We have Christian Johnson, he ducked, but he saw what happened. I mean, you don't have to bring in 100 witnesses to see what happened. The goal of the prosecution is to bring enough witnesses in, not to bore the jury, not to extend the trial, to make the point. So I don't know why that guy wasn't brought in, but they made the point with the 20 total witnesses that they had, and I just rattled off 5 names that were there: Christian Johnson, Danae Wright, Ingrid Caston, Cowboy, Shermai Villanueva, Kerry Latham. 6 of the 20 witnesses were there during the shooting. How many more do you need? All right, I'm back at the chat. Give me a question. There's no way the getaway driver couldn't have seen the 2 guns on Eric Holder. You think it's more to that? Yellow. Okay, wait. Who said that? Yella. This chat is moving too fast. If you don't have a question, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to ask that question again because I was about to answer it, but I didn't. Do you believe Eric was paid? Don Smith. There's a good question. By who? Who? First of all, Eric, from the evidence presented, from all the information that I gathered, and just understanding these street politics, Eric did not go to that marathon store with the intention of killing anybody. The prosecution and the defense both admit to that. Well, the prosecution to a certain extent is saying that it was jealousy. But we know that conversation that took place for 4 minutes was the tipping point, was the turning point. So how can someone pay Eric to go up there and kill Nip when Eric had no intention of going up there to kill Nip? It was a decision he made after that conversation. Did Nip have a gun on him? Don't know. Don't know. We'll never know. Did Big U come up in trial? Big U's name did not come up in the trial one time. His name never came up on either side. Did Nipsey fake his death and move to Cuba? Don't know. I doubt it. Black Sam would be that's disrespectful to Black Sam, his brother, his family, to his kid, Chato Martinez. That's disrespectful. All right, let's see what else we got here. Why was Nip in the parking lot for a half an hour? He was not in the parking lot for a half an hour. I mean, I guess you can say he was in the parking lot. I mean, he was in there talking to, he was talking to Cowboy. He was talking to Rimpaw. And then Shermai Villanueva and Kerry Latham, they pull up in the Escalade and he's talking to them. He gets out of the car at, let's say, 254, 253 or 254. He gets shot at 318. So he's hanging out in the parking lot, talking to everyone, taking pictures with fans, signing autographs. I mean, what do you mean? Why was Nip in the parking lot for a half an hour? He was doing what he always does in that parking lot. Signs autographs, takes pictures, talks to friends that pull up. You know how long that takes? If he didn't get shot at 318, he probably would have been in that parking lot for another 15, 20, or even 30 more minutes. All right, what else we got here? Why was Eric carrying 2 guns? I don't understand why are we questioning people carrying guns in a nation that celebrates guns? We have we have an amendment that says we're allowed to have these things. So why are we questioned about having things that we're allowed to have in America? There are more guns in America than there are people. But then we question somebody, oh, why you got a gun on you? You know, they don't say that in Texas. They don't say that in Georgia. They don't say that in any pro-gun state. But California is an anti-gun state, and I understand the sentiment. But let me remind you, people, it is okay to have a gun. It is your right to have a gun. So and you can have more than one gun if you want. There are people on YouTube that shoot guns. They shoot fully automatic weapons. Do you question why are they doing that? No, it's their right. So you shouldn't question our rights. Why are you questioning a right? If Eric had 5 guns on him, that's his right. All right, let's get to some good questions here, though. California law says you can't have guns. I own a gun. The law doesn't say I can't have a gun. I've been pulled over with my gun. Sometimes I get handcuffed for my gun, but I never go to jail for it. I never go to jail for it because my gun is legal. You know, some guns aren't legal, but all of the legality about guns comes after the Constitution. You know, our Constitution says you have the right to have a gun. Bro, dude had a felony conviction. No way he was carrying them legally. So what? I know so many people that have felony convictions that carry guns. It's the question was, why is he carrying a gun? And most people I know with felony convictions still carry their gun. I don't never question nobody why they carry a gun. When I see a dude with a gun, I don't question them. I shot a podcast. I shot a podcast with 3 people. All 3 of them are convicted felons. And at the end, we took a picture and they all pulled out their guns. Am I asking them, hey, why you got a gun? Nah, that's their right. I mean, they're felons, they're convicted felons. So you do lose your right as a convicted felon, but it doesn't take away why someone has a gun. I mean, it's America. Everybody got guns, y'all. It's amazing. Hey, I was doing a podcast the other day and the dude was standing up and his gun fell out and hit the floor. And the dude was a convicted felon. Am I tripping on that? Nah, I understand that. I understand that. I understand that. It is a risky move taking pics with gun when you're a felon, but guess what? I don't post those. But I got a dope photo. I got a dope photo with 3 dudes all posing with their straps, all convicted felons. All 3 of them convicted felons. But I'm not going to post it. KA KA says Big U probably extorting this channel. Never in a million years is anybody extorting this channel. Nobody is extorting this channel. Just because I don't agree with you, you ain't got no evidence for these allegations, for these senseless allegations. How come the video from the Marathon store hasn't been released? Well, you're going to have to talk to Cowboy about that. And you're going to have to talk to Detective Washington of the LAPD about that. They both have 2 different versions of that Marathon store footage. I already did a video. I did an interview on AGTV about it. I don't want to repeat all that information here. Go to AGTV, check that out. And then I also did a video about what Cowboy said about it in a previous live. You'd have to go back and watch all my lives, but I don't want to get into repeating all that again. Okay, Alex, do you believe that Cointelpro? Wait, where'd you go? Man, as soon as I was reading it, boom, it just popped out of my view. Shoot. Okay, here we go. Do you believe that Cointelpro is a real thing? If so, why don't you think Nipsey could have had an assassination plot against him? I do believe Cointelpro is a real thing. I have evidence of Cointelpro is a real thing. I have the FBI documents of the role that Cointelpro played in certain activities here in Los Angeles. And it was obvious that there was outside agitation, especially during Bunchy Carter getting killed, Eric Huggins, John Huggins getting killed, Erica Huggins' husband. I mean, it was obvious that certain things were at play when those things were happening in the 1960s, 1969. You got to tell me what is obvious at play here in the killing of Nipsey Hussle. Tell me, where are the players that connect this to Cointelpro? That would mean the FBI is involved. That would mean the FBI is involved if Cointelpro is involved. That would mean that there are a whole bunch of informants and snitches that are in the community working on behalf of the FBI. Who are these people? Cowboy? Rimpaw? Who are these people? Carrie Latham? Shemai Villanueva? Who are these people? You got to connect these dots and make it make sense. If it don't make sense, then you can't really stand on it. Vincent Goldwatch asks a long question, and after Big U beat up Nip, Black Sam, and Nip's father, which led to Sam doing a year in the county jail, did that cause a rift that led to Big U sending Shitty to knock off Nip? First of all, that conflict that they had happened, I think, in 2011. Maybe someone could correct me on that. 2011, maybe 2012, 2011. We're talking about almost a decade before Nipsey Hussle gets killed. That happened. So that's a stretch right there. You got to connect those dots, make it make sense. Black Warrior Spirit says, who told Nip that Eric had paperwork on him? That's a great question. You have to ask Cowboy that question. You're going to have to ask somebody from over there. But it doesn't really matter. That has nothing to do with a conspiracy. So I shouldn't even take that question. That question for everyone has nothing to do with a conspiracy. Obviously, someone told Nip this guy got paperwork on him, and that's what led to that conversation. There's no way the getaway driver couldn't seen two guns on Eric Holder. You think it's more to that? Well, if he had a gun in his pocket, which came out in the trial, and he's got the other gun wrapped up in a red t-shirt, and he puts the shirt in the back seat or under the seat or behind the seat, then why wouldn't he be able to hide it? I mean, you don't pat down everyone that comes into your car. So I don't see no issue with that. I've had people come in my car that were strapped and I didn't know it. When I had those 3 people doing the podcast in my studio that were all strapped, I didn't know it at the time. And then I figured it out, as time went on. So maybe you guys are gun detector experts. I don't know. Police and ambulance was there before 1 p.m. That's if the police and ambulance were there before 1 p.m., then they were there for another reason. So they weren't there for Nipsey Hussle at 1 p.m. Nipsey wasn't even in the parking lot at 1 p.m. We got 6 cameras. Let me count them again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, we got 7 cameras that tell us otherwise. And we have and of those 7 cameras, 1, 2 of them have the perfect time. Let me think. 2 or 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Of those 7 cameras, 2 of them have the exact time. And it's not 1. It's not 1 o'clock. When are you interviewing Cowboy? I'll see. I'll see if you guys want to see a Cowboy interview, give me a thumbs up. Give me a thumbs up if you want to see a Cowboy interview, and I'll call Cowboy up tomorrow if I got a thumbs up. And if you want to see a Cowboy interview, I need to see, Cowboy. I don't pay for interviews. You got to put in the amount of money of the super chat to pay Cowboy for an interview. And I'm not going to ask for that. But any super chat that comes in the next 10 minutes for a Cowboy interview, I will give that money to Cowboy. But I don't pay for interviews. So if you're a Cowboy fan and you support Cowboy, for the next 5 minutes, You got to give your super chats right now for the next 5 minutes. All super chats coming in the next 5 minutes for a cowboy interview. Make it happen. But we're answering conspiracy questions, conspiracy theory questions. Conspiracy Thug says, Alex, I will pay for the cowboy interview out of my own pocket if you do it. Conspiracy Thug. That's funny. I'll do it. Why they got a warrant out for Rimpaw? Well, that warrant was canceled. That warrant lasted from, let's say, Tuesday. Let me get the dates correct on that. That warrant lasted from Tuesday, June 21st. I think we learned that warrant was canceled the following Tuesday, June 28th. I'd have to go check. Don't quote me on that, but I believe it was canceled on the 28th. But I have to go check my notes on that. Conspiracy Thug, if you want to pay for a Cowboys interview, you send me a DM or an email and I'll get you in touch with Cowboy. And you can pay him directly. I don't pay for interviews. I think Eric Holder is under MK Ultra. That's according to M. Garza. You think he's under MK Ultra? If he was under MK Ultra, there would have been no interaction between Eric and Nipsey. There would have been no, oh, let me walk up to the group and shake everyone's hands. There would have been no, let me go order some food from Master Burger. If he was an MK Ultra insert, he would have did exactly what he was supposed to do immediately and then left the scene. So I'm not so sure I'm buying that. Are you an MK Ultra expert? I said for the next 5 minutes, all super chats are going to Cowboy if he does the interview. But if Conspiracy Thug wants to pay for the interview, then that's cool too. But I'm taking conspiracy theory questions, and I believe there are logical answers to everyone's question regarding how this whole thing occurred. All right, let me see if I can answer some questions here. Well, the reason why somebody said I have no idea how MK Ultra works, and you know what? You're right. I have no idea how MK Ultra works. So if I have no idea how MK Ultra works, and you have no idea how MK Ultra works, then how could this be an MK Ultra situation? How can you just immediately say this is MK Ultra? You have no idea how it works. I have no idea how it works. So how could it be an MK Ultra? Why the hell do you think the Central Intelligence Agency over in Langley, Virginia, give a fuck what's going on Slauson and Crenshaw? Why the fuck did the CIA all the way in Langley, Virginia, who doesn't even deal with domestic issues for the most part, why would they give a fuck what's going on in the strip mall of Crenshaw and Slauson? Now, that's a great question. All right. Can we get a G Lynn interview? Yes, I tapped in with G Lynn. A couple months ago. I got his number. He's on my list. I definitely want to tap in with G-Lin, but we're taking conspiracy theory questions. Would you interview Black Sam? Rumor has it. I don't know if Oprah's interviewing Black Sam, but we're trying to take some conspiracy theory questions. So forgive me if I skip over some of your questions. And if I miss it, just ask it again. The CIA, FBI don't give 100. What did that one say? I missed it. Y'all got Alex cussing with the bullshit y'all spewing. You're right, man. Shot dog. I rarely curse. I'm not a big cursor, but I mean, really, MK Ultra. I mean, MK Ultra. We do know this. MK Ultra is expensive, super expensive. There are much cheaper ways of taking somebody out in the hood. You know, to think that the CIA is going to invest millions of dollars of one of their assets to go to Slauson and Crenshaw, those assets are for Libya, Croatia, Iraq. You know, those they're not for Slauson and Crenshaw. I'm sorry. I don't think like y'all think. If Eric is a snitch, why has none of his paperwork been dropped? TH, it's quite possible that it was a rumor. It's quite possible it was a rumor, and that rumors about snitching often circulate. I don't know what the percentage of people who are accused of snitches turn out not to be snitches. That would be a great study for any of you young academics out there. This topic of snitching and informing would be a great research project. But I'm going to say that I'm going to just go out on a limb and say 30% of those that are accused of snitching are probably not snitches. Did the cops let Nipsey die since Operation Laser wasn't successful? I don't know what to say about that. Operation Laser is a citywide program designed to take over areas that have quote unquote nuisance and to redevelop those areas. And I wouldn't say it's unsuccessful. I think Operation Laser's been doing what it's been wanting to do. So did they say Eric Holder was retarded and that he was in fear of his life? I never heard that one. I can't answer that one. Why would Nipsey call a known shooter a snitch? I mean, it happens all the time. You know, you guys think that because Nipsey was a celebrity. Go ahead and watch that video of Nipsey getting mad at the people that were paparazzi videotaping him. And they were saying, well, Nipsey, you're a celebrity. You're a celebrity. What was Nipsey's response to that? What was Nipsey's response to them saying, but Nipsey, you're a celebrity. We should be able to take pictures of you. Alex, stop it. Please stop. The CIA would definitely be worried about a black man named Nipsey Hussle because he is someone who could spark the mind of many oppressed people. Okay. If you asked a question that was already previously answered, I'm going to skip over it because I don't want to be too repetitious in this video, which is I'm going to keep it up to play. So let's get some good questions here. Juice Cowboy got food around 1 p.m., right? Well, no. Ingrid Caston delivered his food right before Nipsey pulled up. If Nipsey pulled up at 2:49, we're going to say Ingrid Caston delivered that food at 2:48 or 2:47. And I can get the exact time for you on that because we got all kind of sources, multiple sources on that. In fact, tomorrow I'm going to do a video and I'm going to just break down the timeline, and I'm going to start when Nipsey pulls in his car from that time and then give you everything that happened up to the shooting with times and timestamps for each thing. When did Cowboy get his lunch? Cowboy's lunch was delivered to him. He never left to go buy lunch. And maybe he said that he got lunch at 1. Maybe he called for his lunch at 1. But I can tell you this, Ingrid Caston is driving in, delivering that lunch to him at about 2:47 or 2:48 p.m. We got multiple sources for that time. And he probably called for his lunch at 1, but it didn't get there. It didn't get there till 2:40. I say 2:48. No, I'm sorry. Let's go with 2:47. I'll go with 2:47. But I'm gonna give you guys a timeline tomorrow. I'm gonna go check all my sources and just timeline this out for all you people who are confused. It's AGTV. Nipsey should have just minded his business. Minding your business, if everyone just minded their business, there'd be a whole lot more people alive. That's for sure. Killer Kitty. I'm sorry, Alex ignoring my question. What's your question, Killer Kitty? I am not ignoring your question. I'm not ignoring your question at all. Okay, so your question is, why did Big U laugh on IG live when someone said justice for Nip? I think that that was explained. That was already explained and answered. Go back and rewind this video. I just said I'm not going to repeat. that question was already answered. So, okay, Conspiracy Thug got another question here. Alex, what do you think about the video on IG where Eric Holder says he was in Vegas at the time of the killing and even had Meek Mill? Oh my gosh. All right. We already know he was not in Vegas. He was in Los Angeles / Long Beach. Black Yoda, 1 p.m. per Cowboy, per Damon Johnson. Well, I can tell you that we got for every source you no, Cowboy never said 1 p.m. You guys, he said he normally takes his lunch at 1 p.m. They asked him, what time did Nip come up there? He said it was around lunchtime. Oh no, he said I normally take my lunch at 1 p.m. He didn't say it was 1 p.m. So you got to scratch that off your list, Black Yoda. Does anyone want to pull up that grand jury transcript? In fact, I'm going to pull up that grand jury transcript for Black Yoda because he's spewing misinformation here. He didn't say it was 1 p.m. Plugging in my external drive here, and then I'll get to looking at some more of your questions. Young Avelli says they didn't want him to be a billionaire. Why not? I mean, there's a handful of black billionaires right now. They weren't stopped. Jay-Z, I believe Jay-Z is on his way to is either a billionaire or on his way. So is P. Diddy. And P. Diddy was tried for a crime and was found not guilty. So imagine if P. Diddy was found guilty of that offense, he would have just be getting out of prison now, broke probably. Do you think Eric Holder was paid to do that to Nipsey? GETV. I'm going to say no to that because I don't believe Eric Holder had any intentions of shooting Nipsey until after that conversation. After he walks up to that group and has that 4-minute conversation and walks away, that's when he makes the decision, I'm going to shoot this guy. So how can someone pay him to do that? And if so, who would pay him? Who would want Nipsey dead? And Eric Holder ain't saying nothing. His defense wasn't, hey, people paid me to do this, or I'm not the only one involved, or I'm going to snitch and rat out everybody that was involved in this thing. It appears 3 years later that Eric Holder is a lone gunman. Shine took the rap for Diddy. Yeah, he did. Do you think the snitch narrative was said around Nipsey so he would mention it to Holder? John Fire. So you think someone told Nipsey that Eric Holder was a snitch deliberately so that he would confront Eric Holder on it, and then Eric Holder would get mad at him and shoot him, right? You have to understand, in the streets, everybody's talking about who's snitching. So if someone knows that someone's a snitch, that information is going to get to everybody in that circle. That happens normally. So I don't feel like it's anything unusual that someone is sharing information that they believe that somebody is a snitch. That's what happens in the streets of LA. Neighborhood All-Star says there's no conspiracies. People still staying Tupac alive. Yeah, there are. They are saying Tupac's alive. Official Supreme TV says this is all a plan to take the wealth out that community. Okay. All right, Derek Gray. The Getaway driver said Eric called Nipsey a snitch. Why are you ignoring the fact that he could? You can't say fact and could in the same sentence. A fact is not something that could. A fact is, not could. But I'm going to read it the way you wrote it. Why are you ignoring the fact that he could have been killed a day before the meeting with LAPD? Derek Gray, I don't know what to say. Why am I ignoring the fact that he could have been killed the day before? That's not a fact. That's called speculation. Okay. Conspiracy Thug, I already answered this question once. I'm going to answer it again. Why do you think Big U did not attend Nipsey's funeral? That's a huge red flag for someone who had so much love for a fallen soldier. Well, first of all, the funeral that he had at the Staples Center was an invite type thing. You had to have a ticket. I didn't even get in because I didn't go through the motions to get a ticket. Additionally, Big U already said this in the previous interview. Him and Black Sam don't see eye to eye, and they ain't seen eye to eye. So if Black Sam is handling the entire funeral, then the question is, why didn't Black Sam invite Big U? Obviously, Black Sam didn't invite Big U, therefore Big U did not go. And there are a lot of funerals of fallen soldiers that we know that we didn't go to. I'm gonna name some right now. I didn't make it to Lil Bop funeral, Lil Bop from Blackstone. I didn't make it to T. Rogers funeral. I try to make it to as many funerals as possible, but is that a red flag that I didn't attend these funerals of people that I knew personally? I grew up with T. Rogers. I grew up with Lil Bop. I didn't attend their funerals. You know, it's not a big deal that you don't attend someone's funeral from time to time. You know how many funerals I go to? So I don't think it's a huge red flag, as you say. Black Sam didn't invite him. So it is what it is. May you please interview Black Sam. Michael Cobbs. I would love to interview Black Sam. I actually left a message with Black Sam on the day of his new opening of the store he has. So we'll see. My people left a message with one of his people, and he's welcome to call me back at any time. And maybe I'll leave another message. So that's the reason why he didn't attend the funeral, as I see it. Where is the paperwork on Shitty? Gangsta Mo says, do not pay any attention to these conspiracy theorists. They're obviously not from LA or from Southern California, for that matter, because the type of ish is regular AF, unfortunately. And Gangsta Mo 310, he is hitting the nail on the mother effing head. Most of you guys are not from the land, and you don't understand some of these quote unquote inconsistencies. It's not a huge red flag that someone doesn't go to a funeral. Were the two guns stolen? Well, we never recovered the two guns. I say we. I'm part of the media. We never got to learn about the details of the two guns. The only thing we know about the two guns comes from Bernita. One was a semi-automatic, one was a revolver. The revolver had duct tape around it, and Cousin Harold handed him one of the guns when he was rapping at his place one day. So I don't think we'll ever know the details of those guns. Also, Detective Cedric Washington served search warrants at Cousin Harold and Eric Holder's place to find those guns. They weren't found. So I don't know if the two guns were stolen. Answer a new question for once. All right, let's get some new questions, man. I'm here at the bottom. Let's get some questions. There isn't any paperwork on Eric Holder. This is his words of his big homie Shitty. I don't know if that's a question. All right, look, this is about 60 minutes. I like to keep these to a minimum. I don't want to drag this out too long. People come back and watch this at another time. But what I am going to do right now is I'm going to jump on Clubhouse in about 5 minutes, and then you could actually verbally ask me these questions. Go on Clubhouse, search for my name, Alex Alonso, or search for StreetTV, and I'll have a room addressing this exact same topic. We're going to keep this YouTube to a minimum, and then we'll go on Clubhouse. No, Derek Grace, you ain't run me off. I always go about 60 minutes. Come on Clubhouse and direct your questions to me directly. Direct them to me directly. And then we can have a conversation about it. But thanks for tapping in with Street TV. Please subscribe. I have some more updates on the Eric Holder trial. And thanks for tapping in the Street TV. And don't forget to check out the Streets and Scholars podcast with FG and Alex. We talked about this trial on the last two episodes, episode 20 and episode 19. You can listen to those episodes via any of the podcast platforms that you like. But we just recently put the video up on YouTube so you can watch it or you can listen to it. And I'm out.